This is Comics Corner. I am Kasey. This is Kristi. That way. One of those directions.
You're that way.
Okay.
You're that way. So
I'm bad.
Hold
with
up your
directions.
right hand. Point your right hand. That's.
Yeah, that way. Anyways, it don't matter.
We're somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere in the world of craziness. We've got a bunch of stuff to cover this week. We've got Wandavision. We've got Batwoman. We've got Superman and Lois. We've got a bunch of DC casting news. We got a new Batman comic line coming out. We've got Spider-Man finally got a title for the new film that just started filming. So yeah, we've got a lot going on this week. But first, we have our newest feature.
And now, for this week in comics history.
So, for the Marvel side of things,
I just heard Paul do it in the other room. He's still voicing it.
So, now, mind you, because this is at the end of February, we picked characters that are for all of February. They didn't have a specific date for when they released them. But in February of 1964, speaking of Spider-Man, in The Amazing Spider-Man number 9, we first got introduced to Electro. MCU fans will remember him from The Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield, played by Jamie Foxx, who will be back for this brand new Spider-Man film.
And he will not be blue. I saw that.
Hallelujah.
I love this character, but the visual effects were some of the most disappointing I can remember.
Yeah, not good. So yeah, he will be appearing in Spider-Man No Way Home, which is the brand new...
Finally titled movie.
Yeah, finally titled. I love it. They sent all of the actors different titles. So we had a bunch of these weird screenshots floating around that was just so great.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was kind of prominent in a bunch of different things. He was not one of the Sinister Six, but he was fairly prominent as far as the Spider-Man villain goes. He also ran into the Defenders a little bit in Daredevil. I mean, honestly, they did it on purpose, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
There was this great skit. So yeah, he's been around since the 60s. He was created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, of course. So yeah, that is the Marvel side of things. Now, on the DC side of things, it was released in December, but it was titled in February, so I'm taking it. In February 1940, we got Captain Marvel, aka Shazam. Now, when I sent this to Kristi, she thought I was talking about the Marvel Captain Marvel. No, wrong one. Shazam.
Wrong one. I think that this character is just Shazam. I never remember that his name was Captain Marvel to begin with.
Yep, they could not use the title Captain Marvel because Captain Marvel the film had already come out for Marvel and they did not want to get sued.
Yeah.
So they went with Shazam because that's the word he says to,
Yeah. And in the comics, he is known as both. So it makes sense. It's not like they were completely rewriting the character. But I just, even knowing the character from comics and not from the Zachary Levi movie, I still just never think of him as Captain Marvel.
Yeah, exactly.
That is, honestly, a really fun movie and a really fun character. Because he's a kid.
Yeah,
he's a kid in this amazing heroic body, but he still acts like a kid. It's very fun and lighthearted for our comics.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite scenes was when he switched into Shazam, and then went and bought beer because, that's what a 12-year-old would do when they are suddenly legal.
Exactly. He looks like a grown-up. Yeah, that's what a kid would do.
Yeah. Great movie. The only fault I found with the movie was that it was released in April and not December because it is a Christmas movie. Mm-hmm. It would have been perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah. In fact, we are having Shazam 2 in, I believe it's 2024?
I thought 2023. It's a ways out, either way.
Yeah, there was,
Yeah, June 2nd, 2023 is when it's currently slated.
Yeah.
So we're like super far into pre-production with this. Like, there's no filming going on with this yet.
Yeah, exactly. So, that is it for our comics history.
This week in comics books history. I don't do it as well as Paul.
No, but it is great. In the final version that is going to YouTube, it will be up. It will be in there.
I just heard him do it again.
It's adorable.
Our house is not that big.
So, for Marvel news this week, we have, of course, the Spider-Man No Way Home title release,
and which is a really fun marketing campaign that played into, like, just the youngness of the main cast, that they all released something on Instagram, but also a little bit into the Tom Holland can't keep a secret and spoilers kind of thing.
Yeah.
So each of the three main cast members released a different screenshot as, ooh, we're spoiling the title. And so there was Phone Home, Home Wrecker, and Home Slice. And then none of them are the title.
My favorite one, though, was Zendaya released one called Home Depot.
Yeah.
That was just, that was a fun legitimately my favorite thing ever. I was just like, this is so great. I love it.
Yeah, but then they finally have a trailer where each of them realizes they were tricked. And then they walk past the real title, which is
No Way Home.
No Way Home. And honestly, knowing the stuff that they're leading up to with that storyline, I think this is going to be fantastic. Knowing the spoilers of all of the amazing former cast of different franchises of Spider-Man that they're bringing together, and knowing that Doctor Strange is going to be the multiverse, I think this is going to be an excellent way to really delve into that with Spider-Man. And there's already a lot of experience in the Spider-Man franchises with different versions and different universes, like the animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Mm-hmm. That's something that's very inherently in that franchise to begin with. So I think it's going to be fantastic, and I cannot wait to see where they go with it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. Because we know that this ties into WandaVision and then into Doctor Strange 2, it's going to be obvious that whatever happens with next week's episode is just going to, I have a feeling, rip the multiverse open. Now, we haven't got a confirmed runtime yet, but we've got about an hour and a half of runtime, maybe 2 hours left. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. As someone mentioned to me, it's basically going to be a feature film in and of itself.
Yeah. And that's what they seem to be setting up, which I am all for, by all means.
Spidey got doxxed. Toyota is totally right. That's why we left him in Far From Home. His his identity was revealed quite publicly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be super exciting. Bringing back former Spider-Man, bringing back their love interests and their foes. I think this is an amazing way to provide fan service, because people like me, I've seen all those Spider-Man movies. I am going to be giggling the whole time and on the edge of my seat.
I also thought it was interesting that they've made a very big point to say in theaters only. Mm-hmm. Which they have a lot of faith in the world.
Yeah.
I don't, but, bless them We're actually still having faith.
Yeah.
On the flip side of things, we also got the premiere date for Loki, which will be June 11th, which somebody had put out a calendar of, that there was going to be a Marvel release every Friday for the rest of the year.
Which is amazing.
Which is crazy. But they kind of shifted some things around at the... Yeah, you're right, Toyota. They can't put it on Disney+. But they could do POV pretty easily if they had to.
Mm-hmm.
So this week was the... I forget what it was called off the top of my head, but it's a big media presentation thing, and now that Marvel and Disney Plus are a thing, they had to present. So they released a bunch of dates for a bunch of different things, Loki being one of them, and the theory is that they're going to give each movie release about a month of breathing room before the next thing starts.
Right. Makes sense.
But you're also going to have a bunch of Disney Plus shows going at the same time.
Yeah. So
it'll be interesting to kind of see who, what, where. I'm super pumped for Loki. This is from the trailers that we've seen, Tom Hiddleston, as he was in Avengers, which just makes me happy.
Yeah. The more recent stuff, Loki was more of more toned down, kind of a little comedic, because it was a little bit of a lighthearted movie. Thor Ragnarok, especially. It was kind of more funny than actiony, and he was much more on the side of Thor. This, we're going back to, he was just thwarted in New York, and I think it's going to be more of like an anti-hero story, maybe villain light, where you're not sure what his motivations are, but it feels very much like, Loki's going to be going around kicking butt and taking names and possibly thwarting the people who are trying to control him. I am so excited to see this. This is like the intersection of all the shows I like, which are like spy thrillers and superhero shows. It's going to be great.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. So as busy of a week as Marvel had, which is saying something.
Yeah.
DC also had some really big news. We've got a release date for the Snyder Cut, which is March 18th.
Mm-hmm. Right around the corner.
Yeah, it's in like 3 weeks. I'm so excited.
I'm excited too, because I honestly still cannot remember watching Justice League. I know I did. I still can't remember it.
Yeah. So we're talking about 3 weeks from when this is recorded. So that'll be fun. I am slightly annoyed that it comes out on a Thursday. But as Toyota mentions, it also is dropping the day before Falcon and Winter Soldier. And that feels like a big middle finger to Marvel. I'd be like, screw you. This is what we're doing.
Yeah. Well,
so, that'll be fun.
It also, like, they know. They know that they are fighting a losing battle with Marvel. Marvel is such a juggernaut right now, and they really haven't had any misses.
No.
Like, everybody's got their least favorite Marvel movie, which is Civil War, and I just don't like it.
No, Iron Man 3 is the worst Marvel movie.
It's okay. Iron Man 3 is down there, yes, but Civil War, I could have done without the whole thing. I'm like, you could have done this in 5 minutes at the beginning of Infinity War. It would have been fine. But no, it's fine.
It was a lot of angst.
Agree to disagree. Yeah, lots of angst. But no, everybody's got their least favorite. But even those least favorites, you would have still gone and sat and seen and everything. Yeah. DC just doesn't have that traction in their movie franchises. They don't have a stable home for their shows anymore. Their attempt to do the same thing as Disney Plus failed miserably, and now they're streaming their movies on HBO Max. Like, they know that they are not on the same level as Marvel, and so they're kind of trying to do whatever they can to just say, hey, we're still here. Yeah. Like, here's this tiny little window. Oh, look, Justice League, Snyder Cut, it'll be great. And then everybody will flip back to Marvel the next day.
Yeah, exactly. We also, speaking of Justice League, they announced that, don't even get me started on Green Lantern. I went and saw Green Lantern before I was a DC fan, and it almost turned me off of DC. It was so bad. Let's just leave it at that. It was... So, in other news, which I have to say I'm not excited about this. It was reported yesterday that J.J. Abrams is producing a new Superman reboot. Like, we need another one, like Spider-Man reboots.
It's not like we have 17 different versions.
But this one is supposedly going to be set up as a black Superman story. No, not black suited Superman, but black. Which it has the author of some of the Black Panther comic books. I can't pronounce their name, so I'm just going to butcher it.
I think it's Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yeah, thank you.
I might be saying that wrong, but I feel 82% confident that might be how you say his name.
Yeah.
I'm not usually good at names.
Yeah, and so this will be a DC Extended Universe film produced by Bad Robot, which I gotta say, I have a couple of concerns. One, J.J. Abrams has a bad track record of producing films that, successfully reboot franchises.
I don't know. I do like the Star Treks.
I don't, but that's okay. It's okay.
I'm wearing a Star Trek shirt right now.
But, you just look at what he did with Star Wars. And we won't. Yeah, anyways. But honestly, we just had another Superman reboot less than 10 years ago. And I don't know, Toyota, if they have officially gotten rid of Henry Cavill or not. I honestly don't know. I haven't heard anything one way or the other. But it sure looks like they're gonna go screw you and, do something else.
If they haven't lost him from playing Superman altogether, then they have to do, this isn't Clark Kent Superman, it's a different Superman. Maybe some kind of storyline like that.
Yeah.
I think it's too early to know for sure.
Yeah, and here's, at least as far as I know, within the comics, there isn't a basis for this. Unless there's some weird, obscure comic that I don't know about. So, I don't know why they're doing this. If not for, we need a Black Panther.
No. Which, there are comic book drawings of a black Superman.
Huh. Well,
I don't know much about him, though.
Yeah. This is the first time hearing about it. It seems like, and maybe this is the cynic in me, it just seems like they're trying to do the diversity play, and when they force it, it doesn't usually work well.
If it's something where you're trying to pander to a specific audience, I don't think that works, but if you do it the right way, then it can be fantastic. Looks like he is from Earth 23.
Okay.
The one I was looking at. His name is Calvin Ellis. He is the president of the United States of America and also Kal-El Superman. So that's an ambitious person.
Yeah.
One would think that being president or Superman would take up your whole day, but he's a combo platter.
Toyota, yes. I
saw that fan theory too.
When he first did a Warner Brothers deal back in, I think it was 2018, 2019, he was trying to get a black Superman going, and the studio turned him down. So it is possible that he will be attached to it eventually. As of right now, there is no official news. Granted, this is just, in development, let alone pre-production. So they still gotta put everything together for this.
And Michael B. Jordan has a lot of comic book cred. He was Human Torch in that abysmal Fantastic Four movie. And obviously Warmonger in Black Panther.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, of the people that would do it, he would be interesting. I would be more interested in Denzel Washington's son.
Mr. Young Washington?
Yeah, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. The one from Black Klansman. John David. David Washington. I think he would be fantastic. But we'll see. I have no idea what they're going to do with it at the moment, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, you were mentioning about do we really need another Superman reboot? And Toyota mentioned in the chat exactly the same thing with Batman's.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so there was Michael Keaton Batman, and then Val Kilmer and George Clooney took over the suit, but that was really the same franchise. Because this franchise was kind of more around the director than anything else. So I loop those movies together in my head, at least. Yeah. I might be the only one, but I do. And then we've got the Batman Begins trilogy with Christian Bale.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got the Justice League Batman, which was Ben Affleck, but he didn't have a standalone movie. And then suddenly we have Robert Pattinson. And it really does feel like DC is trying new things, and they're like, hey, let's check this at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't go right for them, they're like, oh, it must be the cast. And we're like, no, it's the writing and the special effects. You're not doing this right.
But honestly,
that does seem to be their go-to, is just recast it and try it again.
Yeah. I mean, having seen Tenet, and that was the film of why they cast Pattinson as Batman, I understand it. The problem is, from the footage I've seen, they're not doing anything from that movie, like those characteristics. So I don't understand what they're doing. It seems like they're trying to do an angsty, emo version of his Twilight character, which just no.
And honestly, like, Batman as a general rule is one of the more popular superheroes in comic book history. He's been around for a very long time. He's wildly popular. He'd have to be if we're still making this many movies. But I don't know anybody who, honestly, like, Batman is not the reason I watch Batman movies.
Yeah.
It's Batman's villains. You give me a good villain, and I can overlook whoever's in the suit.
His rogues gallery is fantastic.
That's the strength of the Batman franchise. There are so many amazing villains, and they're also kitschy themed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have a clock guy that has clocks all over him, and, well, the Joker obviously plays jokes. Penguin quacks like a penguin and has little penguin guys, and all their henchmen are all color coordinated. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you've got Riddler, which is just hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many great villains that he has.
Some great female villains, Poison Ivy and Catwoman.
Yeah, 100%. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what they do with it.
Yeah.
The problem is, like, the one really popular, yeah, you're right, Paul, 100%. The one really popular like run of Batman was the animated series.
Yeah.
And that was because they were doing the detective version of Batman.
The detective version is the best way that you can present Batman.
The problem is none of the films have done that.
Yeah. I mean, the Batman Begins trilogy was pretty strong in terms of Batman movies. Some of them were acclaimed. Heath Ledger did an amazing job as Joker. But there are a lot of places where even that fell flat.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but it kind of is what it is. Like, until they learn how to bring in what makes them successful as an animated series, 100%. Yes, please. Give me Mark Hamill Joker. If I could have a Mark Hamill voice with a Heath Ledger Joker performance, it would be the perfect Joker.
That would be pretty amazing.
Would be fantastic. But until they bring what makes them successful as an animated series into the actual movies, they're never gonna make it. They also run them very weirdly, like as far as a breakdown of how they run things as a structure for DC movies. Marvel, it's Kevin Feige runs everything from the top down.
Yeah.
DC, it's like, okay, you've got a couple people here and then a couple people there. It's weird and convoluted and too many cooks in the kitchen.
That's really Kevin Feige running everything and at least being involved in making decisions is one of the reasons that Marvel has been so continuous through everything. Like, there's continuity. Everything references something else. And the Easter eggs all kind of flow through the movies and shows and comics, and everything makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll see as they kind of get into it. I need more footage. Give me a trailer, and then I'll make some decisions from there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna watch it either way, but I'm wildly optimistic that it's not just like I don't like when somebody's like, oh, make her a girl because girls are, there aren't enough girls. Well, make it a girl for a good reason, not just so it's a girl.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a different gender or a different backstory or a different race or anything, don't do it just because you want to, like, say that you're being diverse.
Yeah.
Actually present, like, an authentic character, because that's one of the things that, like, we don't need inclusion and diversity just for lip service. It needs to be real authentic inclusion and diversity.
Exactly.
There are amazing comic book characters out there that you can bring to life and do this in a good way. If they're using this comic book character that already is a black Superman, fantastic. Give me that. Tell me that story. Don't just make him black and be like, oh yeah, and he's black now. Yeah. That's not how this should work. This should be bringing characters to life that already are telling a story in a different way.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the Kevin Feige motto, which is keep it simple and keep it from the comics.
Exactly.
That's all you gotta do.
Like, these comics have been around for decades.
Yeah. Cherry pick what you want, and
and there are thousands of stories you can tell. Yep. So if you don't find the story that you're looking for, keep looking. And this character died that you wanted to use, that's okay. Comic books bring characters back to life all the time. They're comic books. Like, that's what they do. There's a whole series where the Green Lantern property brings back people from the dead and makes them Black Lanterns. You can bring anybody back from the dead.
Exactly. I just, we'll see. But at the end of the day, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, and that's the unfortunate part. But we just get to live with it, unfortunately. All right. So, speaking of DC, we had we had Batwoman, and then we had the brand new Superman and Lois. And since I have not watched either, I will hand you guys over to Kristi and let her.
Yes, where I will talk about shows. Before I talk about shows that I've watched, though, there was one more piece of news I wanted to mention, and that was a new comic book run where Batman enters the Fortnite universe.
Yes, you told me about this.
So what it has been teased as the premise is that a rift is going to open over Gotham, and it's going to pull Batman through it and into the Fortnite universe. I have no idea what's going to happen there, but it's going to be a 6-issue miniseries. And if you read all 6 comics, there's going to be a code in each one, and you can put those in your actual Fortnite game and unlock a Batman skin.
Which is so cool.
Yeah, that's some pretty exciting news for Fortnite fans and Batman fans. And some of the art, I was looking at the comic book cover, and at least this first one looks amazing. And I don't even play Fortnite, but I see Paul play it enough that I recognize some of these characters. I think it's going to be pretty popular. And it's also, I do love crossovers in general, where you just take a well-known property and toss them into the world of another, and you just kind of see how they would interact with that. I think it's going to be really fun.
Sweet.
Okay. So, talking about things that interest Kristi. Okay, I've been mentioning Batwoman, and this most recent episode, I had mentioned in our last episode that I thought we were getting to a stronger place with Batwoman, where Batwoman 2.0, as she's called in this episode, her name is Ryan, and she's really coming into her own. She's getting more confident with the equipment and with the suit and with crime fighting. And this time, that's exactly what we got. So we're starting to open it up with different villains, different storylines, and we still have this background of where's Kate Kane? We have to rescue her. But it's much more of like a back burner thing. We're allowed to have an actual storyline progress. And I think that this is where we need to go. I'm hoping that the rest of this season really continues in that direction. Because just like I mentioned with Batman, the strength of all of the Bat franchise is the villains. So bring me more villains. Stop putting the same one in front of us every week. Because that's what really the first season did. There were only a handful. Mostly it was Alice and the Wonderland Gang. And she's still cropping up, but more as an anti-hero. And that is something that she did in the comics. So it's really fun that they're playing with her character that way. But we're getting new people. This time we got Wolf Spider, which is somebody I did not actually remember from the comics and did a little research on. And they did him really well. He was stealing some art, and it was very exciting. Some nice little special effects where he was flipping around and trying to evade them. And it really, I enjoyed this episode more than I've enjoyed the other Batwoman episodes so far this season.
Gotcha.
So it was very good.
Well, hey, I'm all for that.
Yeah. And then Superman and Lois. I was really looking forward to this. The trailer dropped just a little bit ago. It was kind of a closely held secret.
Thank you for the follow, buddy.
Yay.
Sorry.
No, stop me anytime. Seriously, that's exciting. Hey, Ellie. Okay, so we're talking Superman and Lois, and I'm going to do, like, spoiler light. I'm not going to tell anything of what really happens or who it happens to. Just kind of the general vibe. So we got the trailer, and Superman and Lois are kind of living their lives, and where we left them at the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths, the crossover from last year with all of the CW shows, was they had an infant baby, and his name was Jonathan. And then at the very, very end of the last Crisis on Earths episode, Superman gets called, like Lois calls him and says, the boys need you. And so we had this huge, like, wait, she said boys, there was only one, now there's two. So whatever they did in Crisis created this second twin, well, a second child. They are twins. And, okay, drive safely.
Yeah, please drive safely. Chat with us when you get home.
So we have twin boys now, Jonathan and Jordan. So Jordan is the twin that didn't used to exist. Gotcha. And it took me a little bit of research to nail that down, but I am confident Jonathan was in our universe the whole time. But as far as they're concerned, they're just twins, and they've always had them. Like, they've kind of forgotten that there was ever just one baby.
Gotcha.
And they're teenagers now. So this is a large period of time. I think that we're really in the future, but not really talking about it yet. because they're about 14 or 15. They mentioned that they're about to start freshman year of high school, so maybe 13, but right about then. And the first thing that they do, they're living in Metropolis at the time, and the first thing that they do is go back to Smallville. And the trailer tells you this, so I'm not spoiling anything. This is when Lois and Clark finally tell the boys that he's Superman. And so we've got like this angsty teenage kind of situation where they're coming to terms with the fact that their dad's Superman and they're half alien and they never knew it. And it's right at the same time that they'd be hitting puberty. So now we're like, are they going to get powers? Are we going to have a Superboy situation? And that's really where the trailer left us. It kind of just said, this is the world that we're going to drop you in. Have fun. So I'm watching this episode, and I'm expecting, okay, there will be a little bit of action. It's Superman. And there was. Like, he saved the day right at the beginning and then went home to his kids, where he had to, like, his food was in the fridge, and he had to talk to his son who was mad at him. And then he had to talk to his other boy who had some good news at school today. And I was like, okay, so this is Superman's family life. Okay, I'm on board. This will pick up soon. But it never did. There was like one more action scene at the end, but everybody was just kind of like living life. So this is much more of like a home and family kind of drama than it is an action show.
So more Smallville than Dark Knight Rises.
More Smallville than Justice League or whatever. And it's not to say that there wasn't a little bit of action or that there wasn't special effects, because there definitely was. And like the CW shows, this is where DC does it well. It's much more realistic and believable. Like, he picked up a truck and lifted it, and that's something they show in the trailer to prove to the boys that, yes, I am really Superman. And there was a nuclear disaster he was thwarting, and there's a bad guy, which is a pretty decent Easter eggy kind of cliffhanger, that he's going to be, I think, a season-long bad guy. It's at least what it feels like from the research I've done. But it was definitely much more like, this is the human side of Superman. And that is a lot of where Smallville was, except for Smallville was very, like, each episode was a different bad guy, and also Clark learning how to deal with a new power, and also Clark learning that girls are pretty. I don't know. Like, whatever. Smallville was more of, like, a teenager drama, and this is more, like, Clark is in his 40s and dealing with angsty teenagers. It was much more, much less action-y than I was expecting. And that's how I'll put it. It is definitely worth watching if you like Superman, because I think this first episode is going to set up a world that they are going to explore. And I honestly think that they're going to do something that you rarely see with Superman. You know, Superman is usually Man of Steel, infallible, and this show really is like, this is where he sucks. This is what he cannot do right, and this is where he's done all of these things wrong. He is not a good father. And I think that's really intriguing, and I'm hoping they lean heavy into that, but also that they kind of bring it back around and do give us some more action later in the season. There's a lot of possibilities with what they're doing. I think it's going to be really interesting to see where it goes.
Cool. Well, hey, I will actually probably watch that after we get done with this and I go make dinner.
And I haven't spoiled anything. It was all there in the trailer.
Bravo. Well done. Yeah. Speaking of spoilers, we will definitely be spoiling.
Lots of spoilers coming up.
The new WandaVision episode. So if you haven't watched it, you have been warned.
Yeah. Click pause. Go watch it. Come back to us in 30 minutes. It'll be great.
Yeah. You'll thank us. I mean, slight spoiler for behind me. They do change the logo. It just made me happy. I was yelling at my TV. I was like, yes! They never changed the logo. Yes!
Well, they've played with it before. A few
little
times.
bit, but not usually.
Not so drastically.
This. Yeah. So we've got, we start with Salem, it's like 1690 or something like that. And we get this scene where Agatha is being led to 1693. That it is. Where Agatha is being led to this stake.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay, Salem witch trials. Was she caught up in it? Nope, she was part of a coven.
Yeah, and it was like the Salem witch trials, but by witches for witches.
Witches. Yeah, exactly. Like this was actually like, okay, you actually caught one. Good job.
But on the other side, they were witches, and she was in their coven. So it's really like, did you do detective work here? You knew she was a witch.
Yeah. And she gets busted for bending the rules, as she says.
They accused her of doing magic that was beyond her level.
Yeah.
And learning things she wasn't supposed to learn.
Yeah. Which, I find interesting. They never really did explain kind of what she got into. The theories that she started doing black magic and started getting into the crazier side of things. And we see them decide, all right, you basically can no longer have your magic. We're going to suck it out of you. And she's like, no, instead I'm going to flip it on you. And she sucks everybody's magic out.
And their life force.
And their life force. As we come to find out, her mother, who has this kind of like weird crown thing that pops up when she tries to suck it out of her, and she grabs it and it turns purple, which I love.
Yeah,
so we now have
their magic was like a whitish blue. Yeah. And Agatha's was more of like a purplish black.
Yeah.
And she was overpowering them. So that's where some of this purple comes in.
Yeah.
But I heard a couple of things with the crown that the mother had on her head, that either she was channeling the goddess of magic, trying to be strong enough, or it was just a symbol that she was the head of the coven.
That also makes sense.
Yeah.
So then we see all of them dead, and we switch back to the basement where Agatha has Wanda kind of tied up. She's got these little protection spells on the wall, and she takes the fly and does some weird like illusions and changes it and switches some stuff up, kind of almost instantly getting rid of the theory that this fly was Mephisto, because there was in the comics he does often appear first as a fly. So then we also find out that Agatha was drawn to Westview because of all of the spells. So
she wasn't there to begin with.
Yeah, leaning on the idea that, because in the last episode, they made it seem like she was the one that caused like the black and white and all of that. And we find out later in this episode that's not the case. And so she steals a hair from Wanda and basically opens up portals to her childhood. And, we get one of her in Sokovia right before her parents are killed, and they're watching the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yeah.
So you kind of get to see this obsession of hers with sitcoms.
It seemed like it was one of her favorite things to look forward to in childhood, that they would practice English in their home and watch a sitcom together. And she was the one who got to pick. She picked that Dick Van Dyke episode specifically.
Yeah. So you get to see kind of some of the bits and pieces. They do a good job of kind of fleshing out her backstory a little bit. And then we see her next in the Strucker years.
Before you go to the next thing, one of the things that Agatha is doing here, and I think in our last episode I kept messing up and calling her Agnes or Agatha all the time. I'm having trouble.
Both.
But one of the things she's doing is she's comparing her own magic to Wanda's and how long she had to study in order to do these small illusions and how Wanda did all of these things instantaneously. So at this stage, she's looking at this little girl and they're kind of reliving this trauma that she went through. And one of the things that happened was the bomb had landed in the apartment but not exploded. Yeah. And Wanda references this in some of the movies. She says she saw the Stark logo, but the bomb never went off. Yeah. Agatha points out that she did a probability hex. So she starts referencing Wanda's magic, that she had it at that stage.
Yeah. And we see as we go into the next section, which is her at, in the Strucker years, basically, where they're like, all right, come in, touch the scepter. And we find out that everybody else has died before this. And we get this moment where the Mind Stone kind of comes out and then just kind of like shoom right in front of her. And in the reflection of the Mind Stone, we see the Scarlet Witch outline. Which just looks so cool. Like, I had to pause it and go back and be like, no, did I really see that?
Yeah.
Missing things? And then we see her pass out. But the interesting thing is, no one else sees that. Like, they don't see it on the cameras. Nothing kind of pops up.
Well, it is the Mind Stone.
That's true. And then Agatha's like, okay, so you had some magic that would have naturally died out on the vine that then got amplified by an Infinity Stone. The pieces are starting to come together a little bit.
Yeah. But she still isn't satisfied with this. Like, if it was me, I would be like, oh, okay, she was a witch. Okay. Oh, she was powered by an Infinity Stone? That makes sense. But Agatha's like, no, this isn't the end of the story.
Yeah, exactly. So we then get to, I'm assuming after Age of Ultron, at the Avengers complex, and we see her watching Malcolm in the Middle, which just cracks me up so much. I love that show. I'm sure they paid through the nose to be able to show that episode.
Yeah, that and the Dick Van Dyke episode, because they showed a clip of that.
Yeah.
Disney can afford it. It's fine.
Well, see, here's the thing. So the as you get into the season, the VFX are getting more expensive, and the way that they're offsetting that is via product placement.
Yeah.
It's the only place where it's legal, and you don't have to like say, okay, we had product placement from this many products. So we see this lovely little conversation between Wanda and Vision, and we kind of see the start of their friendship about the fact that, she feels alone, but, he doesn't know what it means to be alone. He's always been alone.
Yeah.
So you kind of get to see, both of their perspectives on loss and love, and they're kind of different, but he also, shows her, what's grief, but if not love persevering. And the way that he says this, it was a very beautifully written scene. And she kind of teaches him about sitcoms, which is adorable.
Yeah, because if you think about it, Vision is not very old yet. He was created basically right before the fight with Age of Ultron. And this is right after that movie. So he doesn't know what it means to really be human. He's just been created. He's got to learn everything from scratch. And she is going to be there for him to teach him these things and help him create his personality. He's going to be there to support her so she doesn't feel alone. It makes sense why they would fall in love.
Yeah. I mean, and if Elizabeth Olsen does not get an Emmy, a Golden Globe, nominations for this performance, I'm going to throw a chair because she was so fantastic in this. Good. My God. And there's this moment where they're at the end of that kind of section and she's starting to lose it emotionally. And Agnes is like, so you wanted him back, right? And kind of prodding her along. And you're like, okay, did she go get him because she wanted to? Or was did Agnes kind of, maneuver things to make her go get him? And we see her going into S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, and she's like, look, I just want to bury him. Like, just give me his body back. And Hayward is being a jerk, and he's like, I can't let you leave with $3 billion of vibranium.
Yeah, like, that's not...
That's not why. And there's this... So we see the scene from the surveillance where she, blows out the windows because she is just... he's been pulled apart. And I don't blame her.
She just walked into that.
Yeah.
Like, how insensitive. You knew they were in a relationship, whether you think he's a machine or not.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go in and see the person they love in chunks. Like, that's not okay.
Exactly. And, never mind the fact that this has been, maybe 3 weeks since the end of Endgame. Like, this is not very far off. So we see her blow out the windows, and, rightfully so. I would have been pissed, too. And, she's like, I can't feel you. And then she leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, so he's screwing with people to be like, no, she did this. And we see her drive off to New Jersey, of all places. And come to find out,
this was so sweet.
He had bought the property in Westview.
Mm-hmm.
And it had the little heart of, a place to go old together. And of course, that heart is the heart that we see on the calendar in the first episode.
Yeah.
And we get,
in the comics, they do live together in Jersey for a while, and that's like the one place that they were happy married together.
Yeah. And as she's driving through this town, you kind of see that it's run down. It's fallen on some hard times.
Mm-hmm. You see a lot of the main characters that she's interacted with.
Yeah.
That they're just living in town.
Exactly. And she gets to this property, and she just loses it. And there was a great graphic that I posted in our Discord server of Pietro dies, she loses it. There was somebody else. Vision dies, she loses it. She sees, she can't get him back, and she loses it completely and it creates Westview. Or at least the Westview that we know in the show. And so we see this chaos magic erupting out of her. She creates the house, and then the sitcom 50 world. And then she was the one that created Vision.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
The Vision that she's interacting with is just comes out of her and out of her magic.
Yeah. And so we see it also explains why he couldn't leave the Hex.
Mm-hmm. But it doesn't explain why Hayward lied and said that she stole his body.
We'll see.
Doesn't explain that, Hayward.
Not yet. Not yet.
Bad
not
guy.
yet. Not yet. So we then see the sitcom set, and they did say that they filmed the first episode on an old school sitcom set with a studio audience.
Mm-hmm.
And we head back into Westview, and we see Tommy and Billy being held and choked basically to death by Agatha, and we see her in her full costume, which is just glorious.
Yeah.
And Wanda goes for completely into Mother Bear territory, which is just fabulous.
Yeah.
And we get into the she's chaos magic, she's
she was supposed to be a myth.
Yeah. To be able to do, spontaneous creation, which explains why they didn't go the Mephisto route with the kids, which I'm not opposed to. And in the cliffhangers of all cliffhangers, we officially get the Scarlet Witch title.
Mm-hmm.
And when that ended, I was yelling at my TV. I was like, son of a...
Yeah.
I was not happy that ended there. But we, of course, have an end credit sequence. And we kind of see finally Hayward's motivation, which is they've tried so many power sources, and it turns out they just need a little bit of Wanda, which is why they kept the drone, who still had the magic, and we get White Vision. Which,
seriously,
I know this comes from the comics. It's I believe from the Vision Quest storyline, where
there's a few things that they could be referencing.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting to kind of see where they go with it. My guess is the Vision in the Hex is going to hitch a ride out of the Hex in the old school Vision body, and that's how they're going to bring back Vision.
That would be interesting.
Keep it simple.
I thought that it's going to come to a head. This Vision, I'm thinking that they're going to reference it as Vision without a personality, without emotions.
Yeah.
He's creepy as all get out. And then I think that they're going to send him in.
Yeah.
But the Hex is going to change him.
Probably.
Like, it changes everything. And I think it's going to look like Vision, and she's going to have to fight him again.
Ooh, that would be emotionally devastating.
That's where my money's at. Like, I feel like this Vision is going to get disguised as the other Vision somehow. And it's going to be... Like, I would love Vision to just come back to the universe full-fledged. Yeah. But I don't know if that's where they're going to go with this.
I mean, it'll be interesting. Of the couple of comic series that I was kind of catching up frantically on last night, you know, there's a couple of ones that they could be referencing. They could be referencing the one where, you know, his memory and, you know, personality gets destroyed, and in the comics he was originally based on Wonder Man's personality, and he refuses to give it to him, so they just kind of create new memories and then go off together. The other one is the Vision storyline, where he leaves the West Coast Avengers and basically creates for himself a family. And in that, they all kind of turn into be murderers, killers, so that's weird. It's a weird storyline.
Things go awry.
Yeah, just a little bit. So it'll be kind of interesting to see where they go with this. I'm honestly not sure, you know? But it'll be interesting to say the least. So yeah, that's WandaVision.
That's WandaVision. We've got one episode to go.
Yeah.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Yeah, it's good. It's gonna be a lot. I'm gonna have to get up early on Friday.
So, one thing that they have mentioned is that there is supposed to be an amazing cameo.
Yeah.
But they have said this after Evan Peters showed up.
Yes.
So I would have thought if you're going to do an amazing cameo, tossing Quicksilver from the X-Men movies, that's already shocking and messing with people's heads. And they've explained that as that's exactly what they wanted done, is they wanted you to understand that this isn't right. Something's going wrong here. Somebody's messing with Wanda. And that's why they brought him and not Aaron Taylor Johnson back.
There is a thought that he will, especially since in one of the opening credit sequences, they did actually show him from Ultron. There is a theory that he's going to be the one that shows up. My guess is we're going to have like Fantastic Four. We're going to have X-Men. You know, we're going to have something to kick off that side of the franchise, because Kevin Feige has said that the Fantastic Four will show up in the Disney Plus series before it shows up.
That would be amazing. Stuff. My pound for pound, what I would love the most is Sir Ian McKellen as Magneto.
Oh,
so help me. If Magneto walks in there, even Michael Fassbender, you can give me either age of him, I'm fine. But oh my gosh, that would be the best thing in the world for me.
That'd be good. See, I was hoping that we would get Reed Richards' last episode with
that feels like a missed opportunity, where you gave us a nameless character that was just created for the movie. With that kind of, that buildup of my contact is over the ridge, you could have given us somebody. Even if it was like a one-off and you're going to recast it for an eventual movie, that would have been a great place for an Easter egg.
Yeah, it was so disappointing on so many levels.
Yeah, and we're all like, who's that?
Yeah, I mean, there is a big push. So for Fantastic Four, there is a big push to have John Krasinski and Emily Blunt play Reed Richards and Sue Storm.
That would be pretty fantastic.
I'd be perfectly happy with that.
Who would their Torch and Thing be, do you think? Like, I would love either of them solo, but them together is just even better.
Yeah. For Human Torch, for me, he's got to have that kind of arrogant. I want him a little bit older. So I want him to kind of match Blunt and Krasinski's age range. So I would probably go with maybe a actually it would never happen, but maybe an Oscar Isaac or or John Boyega, that kind of bend it a little bit but not super young. Trying to think of, there was a guy I had in my mind that wasn't already in the MCU and I can't think of his name.
It's almost hard to think of people who aren't in the MCU anymore.
For The Thing, it's a long shot, but I want The Rock.
The Rock.
I mean, it would be perfect.
That's a little too on the nose.
A little too on the nose.
I was actually thinking about wrestlers too.
Okay.
I was thinking Paul could answer this better, but I think the Roman guy, Reigns or something, is actually the cousin of The Rock, maybe?
That makes sense.
Or it might be like cousin through marriage or through them all just calling each other cousin. I'm not really 100% sure. But someone of his kind of caliber, and someone of that age range as well, that could potentially do this for a while. Now, I love The Rock, but I feel like if you're going to put him in this universe, he would be, you almost want to see his face more.
Yeah.
And you're not going to see that with The Thing. But I'm, Batista as Drax was an insane casting choice, but so perfect. So that's the kind of thing that I'm thinking of.
I gotcha.
Somebody another Batista, but as The Thing.
Yeah. Well, and see, that's the thing. So there's been, a lot of the people that I would think of, is that plays arrogant really well are either way too old for the role or they're no longer alive. So, somebody a John Malkovich, if he was 30 years younger, would be perfect.
Yeah.
But,
a geriatric Human Torch. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, we need a good crop of teenager-y people. Zac Efron kind of age,
Yeah.
Somebody who could play kind of a jerk, but a lovable jerk. That's really who the Human Torch is for me.
Yeah, I can see that. He's too young, but what's his name who plays Will from Stranger Things?
Oh, I don't watch that. It's one of the few things I don't watch yet.
Oh, Stranger Things is fantastic. I highly suggest checking it out.
But in the comics, Human Torch is often a teenager. He's the younger brother of Sue Storm, so it wouldn't be terrible to have somebody who is younger.
True.
But honestly, if you think about the last two actors who have played Human Torch, that is Chris Evans himself and Michael B. Jordan. Yeah. So whoever would play him is in good company.
True. I just thought about this. If we're going slightly younger for Human Torch, and we want someone who can kind of play the arrogant, but also, the slight craziness that is Johnny Storm, what about Daniel Radcliffe?
Ooh, that would be an interesting choice. And Marvel doesn't shy away from putting British actors into, American accent roles.
Yeah.
That could be fun. Ooh! Oh, I know who I was thinking of. Daniel Radcliffe made me think of it because he was in Now You See Me Too with Dave Franco. I was thinking Dave Franco.
Okay, yeah.
That's who I want.
I can see that.
See, there we go. I got there eventually.
That wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. Yeah, there's a lot of good like young actors that are in their late 20s, early 30s, that I think would work.
Yeah.
Really well. So.
And we don't need another origin story. We've already had it twice. I am 100% fine with just we meet these characters.
Yes.
That Marvel has been doing a lot of origin stories with the new people.
Yeah.
And there are some where it's really helpful. Like Captain Marvel, we did an origin story with her, and it was kind of like a period piece because it took her back to the 80s, and that was fun.
Yeah.
But of the people that they were bringing to Endgame, she was one of the lesser known.
Yeah.
So, that makes sense. Fantastic Four, everybody knows. They go up into space, they get powers, they know what the powers are. If we're going to do anything origin-y, I would rather see that as like a flashback within this movie and really just get to like the action and the characters.
Yeah. 100%. I would rather them call them in another thing as an already set team.
Yeah.
And then just pick up from whatever they're doing,
Yeah. And honestly, we've talked about some of the ways that they could bring in X-Men, some of the ways that they could have brought in Fantastic Four, especially with like, oh, there's a space engineer that has something for us. That was a great place to drop Reed Richards.
Yeah.
But some of the upcoming titles that we have are also going to be great places because we know we've got a Skrull invasion story.
Yep.
We know we've got another Captain Marvel. Anytime you're dealing with space, that is a place where you can bring in the Fantastic Four and it feel very seamless.
Yeah, and that's the theory that it was too early to bring them in. So, looking at probably Secret Invasion. There's the word I was looking for. My goodness. And especially, it makes sense, especially since I know that, like, because Krasinski has the Jack Ryan series, that I believe is currently filming. So, it would make sense that they would be slightly waiting. Because they've done it before. They did it with Benedict Cumberbatch for Doctor Strange. Because there was just no other choice.
And sometimes you're going to have that, where there's just not another place to drop in this character. You've got to just do a movie and then bring them into the universe. I mean, you're just not going to get around that sometimes. No,
and there's too much of his story and things that they had to set up to do anything less than a movie.
We really hadn't had much magic in the universe. No. It was more technology-based kind of thing. So it definitely made sense with Doctor Strange. And honestly, that's one of my least favorite movies because it's so mind-trippy. Like, I just...
Yes.
You've got to be in the right frame of mind to watch that thing.
Yeah, I literally only watched it because I'm obsessed with Benedict Cumberbatch. The man is an amazing actor.
Yeah. And it was an amazing movie, but it's not for everybody. Like, once they started, like, going through those mirrors and stuff, whoa, it was a lot.
Yeah. It would be interesting.
Okay, so, we're talking about Fantastic Four, and I am looking closer at that image that you had sent me.
Yes.
It is Marvel Studios' upcoming projects.
Yes.
I got distracted by Deadpool 3 on this list, which is a whole nother conversation. But, oh, what's this that I see? 4 from the bottom on the right-hand side. That's a Fantastic Four logo.
Yes, it is.
There is a Fantastic Four movie in development.
Yeah. The theory is, so we've got, where's Secret Invasion on this list? I know it's up here somewhere. I actually don't think it's on this list. You very easily could have them pop up in Captain Marvel 2. You could have them pop up in Guardians of the Galaxy.
You could even have them pop up in Ant-Man Quantumania.
Yep.
They're so versatile as a team.
Yes.
That you can have them come in and help out in lots of different ways.
Yeah.
I think you're right, though. Secret Invasion does sound like a really strong place for them to premiere. And then just maybe like the next year or something, they get their own movie. I think that would be a really great way to bring them in the universe.
Yeah. Let me look and see what the release date is for Secret Invasion.
Just finished. Yes, I know you liked Doctor Strange. So, Paul, Escape Podcast, what did you think of the most recent episode of WandaVision? Were you excited? Are you ready for next week?
Okay, so it looks like it's part of Phase 4, which is going to start after this trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it's going to be in 2022. So
okay.
You very easily could put them in there.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. Like I said, fascinating stuff. From what I'm hearing, Captain Marvel 2 is going to happen, and then that's going to set up Secret Invasion.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Yes. So having them pop up in either of those things would be fantastic. I mean, you could have them pop up, as Skrulls, and then, have the real ones come in from who knows where.
Honestly. And it doesn't even need to be like they're a starring role. It doesn't need to be that they're even a cameo. You can just say that Dr. Richards gave you some information, and that would be enough of an Easter egg that we'd all get excited.
Oh, like, 100%.
Marvel has us wrapped around their fingers right now.
Yeah.
And from this list of movies, they will do so through 2023 for sure.
Easily.
We are all dying for these things and looking so forward to it.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I am curious to see. So, we've had various reactions of different things.
Paul in the chat would like us to know that stigmatism was being powered, because stigmatism is when you don't have vision. Anti-vision.
Nope.
I get your joke, Paul. I get your joke.
Not gonna touch it with a 10-foot pole.
He's so proud of himself.
I'm sure he is.
Mm-hmm.
But, in this, speaking of WandaVision, I finally found that photo I was thinking about earlier.
Yeah.
We've seen Wanda, so, she went crazy with Ultron and destroyed everything. She destroyed Thanos. After that, she created the Hex. Now her kids are being threatened. Yeah. What in the world is she gonna do?
And in the canon, she does lose her kids.
Yeah.
And they end up being reincarnated into two separate boys that eventually find themselves, and all of this backstory is revealed where they realize that once upon a time they were twin boys. There's nothing saying that Marvel doesn't make her lose these kids. My heart wants her to be happy and, live with Vision without all this mind control nonsense, but...
That'd be nice.
You don't know what they're planning.
Also, Marvel has gone so dark.
Oh, yeah.
Much darker than I thought they would in this last couple of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So, everyone could die. Honest to God.
Well, this feeds into the House of M theory that we've had all along.
Yep.
That's really where Wanda's reality bending powers are strongest, is when she's grieving.
Yeah.
So, is she going to drop the Hex and just rewrite reality? Is she going to get through her grieving process and, go back to being a crime fighter? Is she going to turn supervillain? Who knows? It is within the comic book storylines that anything could happen.
Okay, so Helly says for Fantastic Four, Wyatt Russell for Johnny Storm, Nick Offerman for The Thing.
Oh, Nick Offerman.
And Bryan Cranston for Doctor Doom. I'd be okay with that.
I would love Nick Offerman as The Thing. That is funny.
That would be great.
That would be funny. I do not know Wyatt Russell. Let me look real quick.
Pull up the IMDb.
Who is Wyatt Russell? I don't think I know anything that he's in.
Idea. 22 Jump Street.
Nope, he's in Falcon and Winter Soldier. They're not going to cast him as something else in Marvel right now.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He is going to be Super Patriot or U.S. Agent. So, Helly, I thwart your casting decision.
Edward Norton is Doom. I mean, that would be interesting, but honestly, after
after
Hulk,
his Hulk, I don't think he's going to join MCU, but that would be interesting.
That would be interesting.
But hey, you get to see that guy like next Friday in Winter Soldier. Not next Friday, in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks? Yeah, because we've got the epic conclusion, or the epic finale, and then there was rumors we were going to have a season 2. I don't think so.
Yeah.
And then we've got the making of, which will be fascinating, and then we've got Falcon Winter Soldier after that. So that'll be fun.
But if we're talking about Victor Von Doom, I wouldn't be opposed to having that same guy. Is his real name Julian McMahon, or was that like a character he played?
I have no idea.
Julian McMahon or something. Yeah, that's his name. He was Cole in Charmed, and he played Victor Von Doom in the first 2 Fantastic Four movies.
Yeah.
He did a nice Victor Von Doom. You felt like he was serious, but very sinister.
Yeah, he's been in that new FBI show I've been watching. Most Wanted. He's actually not bad in it. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I think the smart move, if you're gonna go Emily Blunt and John Krasinski for Reed Richards and Sue Storm, then you've got to get a big name for Victor Von Doom.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're gonna be too charismatic. You've got to have a good superhero movie. You've got to a little bit root for the bad guy too, you know?
I mean, I wish Helly, that'd be awesome.
That would be an interesting casting choice. Everybody would just be like, who? And we'd be like, yay! Over here in the corner being like, yay! Tiny little voices.
Exactly. I'll be honest, Paul, I don't know your choice.
Tell me why so? I don't know that either.
I don't think I've
Thank you, Google.
Been in.
Oh, no, not the room guy. No. I say no.
I don't do horror, so I have no idea. He was
like, he made the worst movie of all time. He was the director and the star, and there was no point to this film.
Yeah.
There's no point.
Yeah, for those of you guys that are watching this later, we have been responding to Twitch messages as they've been coming in.
And I said, who is Tommy Wiseau? And then I said, no. That is all that needs to be said.
Alrighty, guys, that's probably going to do it for us today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This will go up on YouTube and podcast early next week, probably Monday or Tuesday, depending on how much editing I have to do.
Probably a lot because of the beginning.
I just cut off a big chunk of it. It's fine. Anyways, thank you everybody on Twitch for hanging out with us. Everybody else, join our Discord. Follow the Bounty Honeys Twitch, YouTube, K Gamings, The Llama, Escape Pod, Geek Girl 1980s YouTube channel. All of our stuff. Links will be down below in the descriptions. Thank you guys for joining. Love you, Helly. We'll see you next time. Stay geeky. Hit the button.
Bye.